My name is Summer Moore. I'm dialing in from Sydney, Australia. Professionally, I'm a change practitioner. I think the challenge sometimes is with big organizations like government. They've often done these business cases years ago because it's quite difficult to get the funding and get the support and get the approvals done. So you're not always involved in the earlier pieces of really talking to people and getting that human-centered involvement at the beginning. But then, when you're actually up and running, you should be still trying to consider how can I involve those end users more, how can I build in feedback? Because we all know, if you're not engaging and creating that ownership, you're not going to have the best rates of adoption. You're going to have to, make tactical changes along the way of how do you pull people back on board. You have to do a lot more refresher, training. So it extends the investment and the labor, and then trying to make it more successful. It's so much harder to clean up something that wasn't started that well. So I really quite liked how the human-centered change design course, particularly at the end with gathering all that information, it did that sense check. And they got the sense check with the people that are impacted, did it across the stakeholder group. So you could really write out a fantastic plan for that, because in the end, that's who you're crossing the line with, right, is stakeholder groups. And then doing the ADKAR sense check, because ADKAR is very popular, but it does have limitations itself, right? It's looking often at a real individualistic view of change. And yet in large organizations, you can't get down to that micro level of just moving across, John and Jane. You've got to look at these big groups. There were really great approaches to try to filter down to get to the information that you want and not be so overwhelmed with a number of things that you can look at, and also addressing the limitations of the other methodologies out there. As a change practitioner, you're working on projects all the time. So they change all the time. And you want to you're supposed to hit the ground running. But you're trying to get an understanding of what exactly is going on in the organization, what's the type of stakeholders you're dealing with, what are the politics, what are the change initiatives that are also competing for people's attention and time. So it's always good to have more tools available to say what makes sense where, and how can I start getting into planning and action mode as quickly as possible. So I really did like the tools that the program had, with just sometimes reminding you, but synthesizing that information to make it easier to work with. It's giving me a better way to think about when any changes are made. It's not just about if you're on a project where you have to implement the change and think, okay, you really need to talk to involve end users and key stakeholders more. It's actually got me further just thinking about changes in general and better ways to do them, and actually thinking more about other projects I'd like to be on that involve more of that at the front end of really getting to the problem by speaking to the people that it impacts. It actually makes me feel more excited, which is a good thing, right? The great energy from the presenters, kudos to Andrew, just by providing this comprehensive way of doing change and thinking about how you can involve stakeholders more, get that feedback, are the different tools that you can apply. And just loved seeing how you did that too, because sometimes just writing out and talking about it is very different than implementing it. So I'm just more excited, and it helps me think about other aspects of change, like how else do you measure ROI. So I really appreciate that side of it as well. And you're using some of the most more common methods and approaches and tools in change, and just blending it into something that you can apply in most projects.